It's Professor Poopy Pants. Tra la 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 la, tra la 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 la. There you go. Tra la la. Uh-oh. Fluff, 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 fluff. Tra la la. Alrighty.
What's up, y'all?
Uh, 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 uh. When the camera goes on, he comes on. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, people will find the right channel because the name has changed. If you have taken notice, it's changed from the Prison Wife Coach to Prison Love Mindset. Yep. So, just want to make note of that.
I see you.
All right, my name is Tamika, and this is hubby,
Mr. Notepad.
Mr. No Cap. Someone brought you up today. Oh, the lady I spoke to today on the phone. So someone reached out to me about writing a book, and they want me to be in her book. So she said, "Yeah, I watched your husband's. I went to your husband's IG, Mr. No Cap. It was so funny hearing her say it." But anyway, my name is Tamika, and I am helping women with incarcerated spouses, or I should say we, because he is coaching too. And we're helping women develop healthy relationships by helping them have self-clarity so that they're able to confidently communicate what their needs are. They can reduce their anxiety and really, get back to focusing on the things that matter most in their life.
So, not to say that the relationship doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, you can't save a person that's drowning if you're drowning yourself.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We had conversations about this when you were locked up. Matter of fact, the lady I spoke to on the phone today was asking about my competitions. And she asked me, she said, "Did your husband approve of you doing these competitions?" And I said, "Nope. Nope." And I explained that you did not approve of me doing the. Now I'm talking about the figure competitions where you're up on the stage and you have the bikini on, with very little clothing on.
Yeah, I don't be with that.
And what I remember is you told me that, you said, "I don't want men you up there with men seeing all your 2001 parts." And
I mean, quite frankly, it wasn't. It was that definitely, but at the end of the day, certain stuff I didn't have to worry about, and that's just a testament to her character. It was mainly more so about a big experience. I knew she was gonna win. I mean, it was a big experience that I wasn't involved in.
Yeah, that was that's what, and so I told the lady it was two reasons. That, and then because he felt like he was missing out on an event. So, and that was probably the real reason. So, yeah. But it's pretty cool. The lady who, I know I'm lost track, but the lady who reached out to me is doing a book about ambiguity. Oh my gosh. The camera comes on and he starts going ham. So she's doing a book about ambiguous grief. And she was looking for someone who had an incarcerated spouse to be in her book. So we were on the phone for like a whole hour. But I'm going to let you guys know more about that later. So today we're going to be talking about the reentry process. This wire just does not want to cooperate. Let me slide this over. There we go. So we're talking about the reentry process and the headache that is, and what comes along with it, with dealing with case managers and also parole officers, and the stress that comes along with that, because this is just another avenue that you're going to deal with in your relationship. So it might not even be just you. It just might be the headache that you have to go through with dealing with the justice system, if you want to call it that.
I mean, just us.
Oh, just that's a us. Good one. Just us system. Did you make that up yourself?
No, honey.
I've never heard that.
It's a prominent saying amongst the underground movement.
Oh,
Just us.
just us system. That sounds about right. Yeah. Well, anyway, so let's talk about the process here and what this there's the what people expect and then what you really get. You ever seen those memes on Instagram when they show you a picture of a hairstyle, what I asked for, and then you slide it, boop, and it shows you what I got, and it'd be a jacked up hairstyle. You ever see those memes? Oh my goodness. So,
Take some time.
huh?
You gotta take some time and put it on your Instagram.
What's that?
Take some time, put it on your Instagram.
Oh, should I let the crowd know we on?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, I think I put the wrong thing on my story
We better
because
correct
I
it.
know my guy's gonna come.
Yeah, we changed the name. Hopefully they'll figure. I put a post out. Yeah, I might want to repost that.
I mean, just rechange it on my joint.
I don't know what you're talking about, honey. Anyway, so let's. I can't change your story. All right, so where should we start on this one? Because there's so many different ways you can look at the reentry process. So why don't we talk about Bosch being on the box and how I guess the process of.
We can get to that.
No,
I wanna start with like the actual case managers in the joint.
Oh, okay. What is a case manager? Let's start there.
The case manager is the person who handles your diminution credits, which is basically your double.
You're talking a foreign language right now. What?
I'm breaking it down.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and break it down for him.
Your diminution credits are double selling credits, working credits. So in Maryland, you get 5 days for double selling because all sales really, I mean, if
double selling. So you use these terms like everyone knows what you're talking about.
You
go from one term to another. The terms are piling up.
The sales all over are built for one person because a person needs a certain amount of space. So you get double selling credits in Maryland off the break. It's 5 days a month. And that's basically their compensation saying, yo, you gotta live with somebody. More than likely, you're gonna have to live with somebody. And the sales we already know is not big enough, so we're giving you 5 days off your sentence a month. So if you got 5 years, 5 days a month, multiply that by whatever, and that's automatically taken off the front end. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to do 5 years just off a double salary. Then you work and you might get a job, pay 10 days a month. Now, in Maryland, you're only allowed to earn 10 days a month if you're not I forgot the rule because I wasn't eligible. I missed it by like a month. Actually, I missed it by like 15 days. And I could have went back to court and got a reconsideration, but who wants to do that when you're in the middle of your bid? But you can actually get up to 20 days off your sentence a month if it's nonviolent. And your case manager is the one who calculates all of that stuff. They're the one that puts you in for the box. They're the one that puts you in for parole. They're the one who, that's your first point of contact with administration. And administration means the people that let you out of there, the parole board and all that other stuff. That's your first point of contact. So if you don't have a good relationship with your case manager, then you should probably. I mean, it's kind of impossible to switch because they go by usually your last name, but you should probably encourage your men to like, yo, okay, I understand your case manager is crazy, but like deal with it because that's your first point of contact right there. They the ones who determine like they write the recommendations to the parole board. You go for parole, parole board asks your case manager, what has he been doing? Oh, he's been doing this, he's been doing this, he's been doing this. Wonderful person.
How does the case manager know what you've been doing? If that's the
everything is documented.
But if the case manager is advocating for the person, for the incarcerated person, like what does he go off of?
Everything that you do in prison is documented.
What about the good stuff?
The good stuff. I got certificates downstairs. I actually pulled them out the other day. Everything is documented. So you have certain courses that's certificated. And those are the ones that you really want because it's something that in your base file. And your case manager can say he or she is not just going off of words. They're saying, hey, look at this information right here. He is a good person. He did anger management, NA, AA, whatever. And they put in a recommendation. It weighs heavy.
Do case managers in prison do their jobs? Like, is it such thing as a good case manager versus a bad case manager?
Oh, yeah.
So what does a good case manager look like? How do you know if you have a good case manager in prison?
When you first walk in and you first meet them, they straight business. Okay, what job do you want? What job do you want? Do you have your GED? Well, I recommend you do this. They're actually trying to transition you out of prison because they're the only ones that can do it. And I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times they're overworked, underpaid, and a lot of times they don't do shit because they ain't got to. Ain't nobody gonna check behind them. Who gonna check behind a prisoner? Somebody told my wife I wasn't eligible to come home, and I was eligible, and they sold them because I mean, what else is she gonna say?
I looked it up.
No, but I was.
Well, I don't know because what I was reading, no one told me that. I read it.
No, I was. And the thing is certain things you gotta know your men. Certain things your man not gonna play about. If he's adamant, you know what I'm saying? Yo, like if it's not you know what I mean? Because dudes would be like, yo, babe, look, hey, I'm gonna be home in a minute, or let's try this out or whatever. But if he like, yo, no, I'm supposed to bop, 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 bop. And he continues, listen to him. Because at the end of the day, he know more about what's going on than you do. And in that instance, you need to say, hey, what do you need me to do? Call, okay, I'll call. Do this, okay, I'll do this. Past that, you can't do nothing. She called, they said, hey, no, you're not eligible. Babe, what do you want me to do?
So how do you know? I mean, what do you do if you have a bad case manager?
Ain't really too much you can.
Can you request to switch case managers?
They don't.
Can you request? No, well, doesn't matter.
I mean, you can request, but it's gonna fall on deaf ears.
Has it ever happened?
I don't think so. Okay. Not to my knowledge.
Yikes. All right. So that's what happens when you're on the inside. So Do we want to jump to what happens when you
I
get
mean,
home?
yeah.
Or
When
what's
you
the
get
transition?
all right, when
Yeah.
you get home, let's say you're in a halfway house or you're on a box. You have a
Have you
PO.
wait a minute? Have you done the halfway house before?
Nah, nah. I ain't never made it that far.
Okay, so you've done what? A box? You've come home with a box, and what else? Is that the only?
A box, parole, and supervised probation.
What you want to talk about first? Want to talk
No.
about the box?
We can talk about the box.
All right, let's talk about the box. What is the box?
The box is home detention.
So, what essentially does that mean? What are your limitations?
You're not supposed to leave out of the confines of your house.
The confines of your house.
Yeah, you're not.
I was so scared when he came home in a box because I didn't want him outside on the back the porch.
The deck, yeah.
I said you gotta stay within these walls because GPS the thing's gonna go off. I was scared of him walking down to the fence on the sidewalk.
I mean,
because I wasn't sure how far he could go, how far the tether was.
It took a little while, but I mean,
I was like, don't go out that door. I would tackle him. Get back here.
At the end of the day,
I was too scared.
I mean, none of us should be trying to go back to prison. So we know what we can get away with and what we can't get away with. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe everyone doesn't feel that way. If they've never been on the box, they don't.
I wasn't never on the box.
Yeah,
but I got homeboys. I had my joint. Blah 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 blah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but for somebody who's never been on the box, like, and they say you can't leave the house. Yeah, like, you don't know. Like, can you go out in your yard? Like, does that count? Like, is your yard safe grounds?
Yeah, to an extent.
Because I don't know. That's what I was scared about. I wasn't sure if it mattered. So yeah, I remember when you first came home with a box. You spoke to your so what do you call him? The case manager or parole officer? The guy was in
your PO,
yeah. Your PO. So his parole officer man was trash. He was straight trash. Let me tell you.
He was.
So this man, wait a minute, what was the first problem we had?
First problem we had, I think, was
job search. So of course you come home, they're expecting you to work, right? It's like a catch-22 to everything. They're expecting you to work. This man probably took forever to get. Was he taking forever to get back with you? What was the issue?
Yeah, he took forever to get back with me.
Like you reach out to them and they're like non-existent.
And you got job interviews lined up. Like I had job interviews my first week home, but he took forever getting back to me. And then when he got back to me, he was like, "Yo, nah, you can't work for that company."
And you missed job interviews, so he was missing job interviews because the parole officer was taking too long to get back with him. And he said you couldn't take certain jobs because of what?
Basically because they didn't conform with their rules.
Oh, okay, yeah. So certain jobs they say I don't know how
I don't know the math on that, man. Honestly, I don't.
What happened after that? Oh, so we ended up having to go. We went to we had a court date lined up. So, let me tell you, this is what the parole officer said. Yeah, I'm about to hop off of Instagram, but for the we're on YouTube at Prison Love Mindset. We're on YouTube. I'm clicking off the IG. Boo boo boo. What was I gonna say? So, what was I just saying? Oh yeah, the PO told. I don't know if you told me. I think he was speaking to me. He was speaking to you. Basically, the parole officer didn't really give him much attention, or really was kind of just unhelpful because he wasn't a problem case. So he pretty much fell to the wayside. So what happens is all the time and energy goes toward the people who
creates disruptions.
Yeah, people who aren't following the rules. because they have to spend more of their time chasing these people down, I guess. So if you come home, and in our experience, like, if you're coming home and you're not a headache for the parole officer, you get ignored, basically.
Yeah.
Which is why it was such a struggle for him to find a job. So he was out here applying for so many jobs, missing
and getting interviews,
but couldn't actually go on the interviews. So it was a struggle. It was definitely a struggle. But he pretty much is saying, like, look, I got bigger fish to fry. Like, as he outright came out and said that, like, I have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
There are people out here who are causing me problems. And it wasn't until we went to court, we just so happened to have a court date lined up. And Derek, the lawyer who was helping us, who represented Michael, I wasn't there.
The judge. The judge basically. She leaned on him for real. Like, yo, this man actually he trying to get a job. I see the information. What's your problem? And she basically told me, like, yo, if you don't get permission fast enough, then I'll give you permission. But by that time I was like almost to the end. I went to the hospital, and then after came out of the hospital, they let me off.
So yeah, it wasn't until he went into the courtroom and he explained the situation about having job interviews lined up, but the parole officer wasn't doing his job. That's when he finally started having progress with the job search after he went to court, honestly. So up until then, it was a huge struggle with getting jobs. Hello, Mother. Hello, Elmira. Happy Friday. So yeah, that was a struggle. And then, what are some of the other experiences? So I feel like your reentry experience changes because of so many inconsistencies. It all depends on who your parole officer is.
It depends, yeah.
What other experiences have you had?
Honestly, normally I'm lucky with POs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I'm sure you heard stories. What kind of stories have you heard?
Definitely. I got an uncle who was his PO was going to violate him for being late. Like, at the end of the day, you never know how they're going to act, and they can violate you pretty much for anything. I got violated because we lived in a gated community, and she didn't have the code to the gate, and that was one of my violations. And I told the lady, like, yo, she don't pay rent there. I can't give her the code. She can't do a pop-up visit. Like, it's not my fault. You guys don't give me no stipulations on where to live. You know what I'm saying? But again, they depend on the fact that they do a background search, and you're not going to get in them places anyways. It just so happens that we got around it, however we got around it. But yeah, they don't expect you to get in them type of places because they want to be able to just pop up. So when they can't, they feel defeated, and you pay. And I got violated for it, but it wasn't much. They violated me for it, but she basically was like, all right, whatever. You got to be careful, man. You got to be conscious.
What's an example of a terrible PO that's just a headache?
Someone who violates you for living in a gated community.
You just gave that. We need another example.
It could be anything, man. You get violated for not having a job. They run it up on you. They run your parole and probation fees up on you if you don't. If you're not wise enough, or if you don't know that you can write your judge and claim indigent, because you are a prisoner, so that when you come home, you don't have those parole and probation fees, which is like $75 a month, I think. And that starts day one when you come home. Whether you have a job, whether you don't have a job. So you already working in the hole. You can get violated for not paying your parole and probation fees. Wale was almost violated for that. So
How often do you have to show up to see your parole officer?
I mean, like COVID has made things like different, but usually when you first get out, like twice, at least twice, maybe 3 times a week, which makes it hard when you're trying to get a job because you gotta, you know, um, and I mean they lighten up as the time goes. You go from 3 times a week to 2 times a week to 1 time to once a month, calling, whatever, you know. But it just depends on what type of PO you got.
So, can you travel while you're on parole? Or where can you travel to?
Honestly, nowhere without approval.
You gotta ask for approval to travel.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us do travel, you know what I'm saying, but we just cautious when we do, you know. I have never, but yeah, you know, just cautious, you better not catch no ticket, you better not catch no charges, you better not, or else that's an automatic violation.
What does a violation mean? Does a violation mean like you automatically go back to prison?
It means you're going in front of the review board.
Oh, who's the review board?
You go in front of the commissioners. You know what I mean? The same people that decide on parole, letting you out of prison, is the same people that determine whether you're going back to prison.
And the outcome of going in front of the what do you call them?
Review board.
The review board. So can it go either way, or is it just like?
Oh yeah, it can go either way.
Oh, but it's not like automatically if you go in front of a review board, they're going to send you back in.
No, the woman told me. I mean, like, I had a DUI, so we all know that you can't beat a DUI. What she told me was, I'm not going to rule on the DUI until after you go to court. After you go to court, I will rule on the DUI. In which case she would have gave me all my backup time, which was 4.5 years.
So what does that mean?
I mean, that would have mean that means she would have took all the time that I was on the street.
What does that mean? That means you go back. You have to go
You're
back.
going back to prison.
Oh.
So she already knew I wasn't going to beat the DUI, but she didn't know how close I was to, because they don't pay attention to that. If they did, then, I mean, they have the information, but a lot of stuff they don't pay attention to. So she was like, well, I'll wait to rule until you go in front of the judge. I went in front of when I came out, I told Tom Code, yo, postpone. Anywho, yeah.
So what's the difference between a parole officer and a case manager when you come home?
Nothing.
It's the same thing?
Yeah. They do the same job. It's just one is on the outside, one is on the inside. They do the same job.
What's the biggest misconception about coming home when dealing with the parole officers? What's the hardest part about it, I guess?
I mean, the hardest part, I guess, is showing up to each of the meetings. You might have to meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Is
it a set time or is it like a pop-up time?
No, it's between the hours of, they might say between the hours of 10 and 3.
Those are work hours, though.
Exactly.
So how do employers feel about that?
They hate it.
Have you ever lost a job because of that?
I haven't, because I know how to talk, but at the end of the day, I could have absolutely.
Do people lose jobs because of it? Not
Yes.
just you, your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah.
And then do you get violated if you lose your job?
Yeah, you can. You can. I'm not saying that you're going to, but you can.
So you gotta show up during work hours, and if an employer doesn't like it, he can fire you, and then you can get violated because you lost your job.
Absolutely.
Hmm. You get can you get violated immediately? Wait a minute. What if you get laid off?
Nah, I mean, like, it's degrees. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get fired, that's different. But if you get laid up, I mean, either way, they're going to tell you, you got X amount of time to find a new job. Because, mind you, it's a money thing. So they want their parole and probation fees paid if you owe. Now, if you don't owe, 9 times out of 10, they ain't even in your head. Because it's all about money. If they ain't getting no money from you regardless, then they ain't tripping.
I don't understand the difference between parole and probation.
It's not a lot.
What's the difference?
One is.
Does anybody have any questions? Because I know.
Parole and probation. Parole is like you caught a state bit. You caught a bit. You was in prison. Probation, you don't necessarily had to been in prison. So you get probation. But you could be on parole and probation, like me.
Parole and probation?
Yeah, I'm on parole and probation.
You are?
Yeah.
I did not realize that. Mm-hmm. So do they end at the same time?
Roughly.
Oh, interesting. What do you guys have questions about? I'll be asking him the same questions over and over again because I'll be forgetting. Oh, hey Alicia, what is up? What is up? What is going on? So I don't know what I've learned in listening to different stories. It's you know how when you go on visits, how it's so inconsistent. Y'all know how that is, right? The rules change depending on who's there at the desk, depending on what day you show up on. I feel like it's the same way when you come home. It's everywhere. The inconsistencies are everywhere because it all depends on who your parole officer is, about how you get treated, how often you guys show up in the office, whether or not they on your back or not. So it all depends on who's governing you. It all depends who shows up. It's like the luck of the draw. Let me back up. So I feel like every step of the way it's been like that. It all depends on who you're dealing with. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Everything depends upon who you get and who you're dealing with, really. What are some stories you've heard? Not just you, but good stories and horror stories.
Man, hey. You can run the gambit.
I want to hear some stories. Story time.
Story time.
Story time.
I mean, I know a guy who was violated for catching the charge, and he ended up beating the charge, and he ended up doing 14 years. So he got found not guilty for the charge he caught, but he was guilty for catching the charge because one of the first statements is no new charges. So you caught a charge, even though you beat it, you caught a charge. It's a technicality that they use in order to give you time if they want to give you time. I know a dude who was violated for not having sex with his PO.
What?
Yeah. Turned his PO down.
But you can't write that on the paper. What did he get violated for?
Nah, he ended up getting violated for a dirty urine, I think.
Oh, well there you go. I mean, so dirty urine could be anything. Okay, this might be a silly question, but do prescription drugs, like heavy prescription drugs, show up on a urine test?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
Like what?
Everything. Opioids, cannabis.
Can you get violated for opioids?
Hell yeah.
But what if you have a prescription?
No.
What do you mean no?
You can't get violated if you got a prescription.
Oh, I thought you meant the opposite.
No.
Oh, okay. What about medical marijuana?
You can't get violated.
You can't?
No.
Okay.
No.
What about the gamut as far as you said people have to show up to the office 2-3 times a week?
Yeah, you could get violated for being late. You could be violated for not showing up. You could be violated for you could be violated for anything.
What about pop-up visits? So they just
yeah. I mean, if they pop up and you got alcohol in your house, you can be violated.
What else can't be in your house? Obviously, I guess drugs.
Yeah.
Anything
drugs,
else?
guns. I mean,
so you can't have alcohol.
You can't have anything. If it specifically states that you can't be around alcohol, when I was on the box, it stated I can't be around alcohol. So when they came in here on a pop-up visit, if they found alcohol in here, I would have been violated.
And they did do a pop-up visit. Yes, they did. And you know what they do? They put you immediately in handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they walk in, they put them in handcuffs. They're already ready to take them out. And it was on a Sunday during football season.
Yeah. So they know.
Was it before Thanksgiving?
Right before Thanksgiving.
Right before Thanksgiving. It was like near holiday season. And I am so thankful that the kids were not here. Oh my goodness. So thankful. Because that would have been traumatizing probably. I wasn't here when it happened. Because I was out with the kids somewhere. So I'm so thankful that they didn't have to witness that. You got my shirt all wet, buddy. But yeah. All I can say is that a bunch of people went back to prison that day.
Yeah.
Because they did pop-up visits all over the city. And if you weren't on your piece, if you thought that they weren't making the stop at your house and you thought you were good, yeah, you went back that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean,
luckily I'm not a drinker, so there wouldn't have been any alcohol in the house anyway. But we did have old empty wine bottles in the house. They did question us about it.
Yeah.
They were but they were empty, right? They were empty. Yeah, they were empty.
Yeah.
They were empty, but they had been up there for forever. And
they were evaporated.
Oh, they evaporated. That's how big of a drinker I am. They evaporate. What you laughing at? You thought that was funny? So yeah, but they didn't really make a big deal out of it. I don't know. Total misuse of their power. What's the need for the handcuffs? Because they automatically assume, in my opinion, they assume that you're going to violate.
Yeah.
And they don't want no problems when they find out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, they storm the castle, but they want to put you in handcuffs because at the end of the day, don't nobody want to go back to prison, and it could be a situation. So they try to contain the situation first, if it is one.
Guilty until proven innocent is how that works.
Absolutely.
Handcuffs always go on first, I guess.
It's hard to get them metal bracelets off.
Yeah. Not until it's all in the clear that they take them off. Okay. That's kind of scary, though. So you always got to be on your A game and never get comfortable. Never get too comfortable. That's the learning lesson. That's discouraging. Don't be discouraged. You got to follow the rules.
Yeah.
You got to follow the rules. I've
done parole. I haven't violated parole or probation ever. I mean, at the end of the day, you just gotta follow the rules. You gotta stay in the lane.
And always think that at any moment that they could show up.
Yeah. When your man is on home detention, he's still state property. So because he's still state property, they want to protect their assets. You cannot do anything that's going to damage your body. Why? Because that's your body is their asset.
That's an interesting concept.
It's real.
Interesting. But okay, so not everyone has that stipulation that you can't be around alcohol, right?
No, not everyone, but if you're on home detention, then yes, you can't be.
Oh, home detention period.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you know about like halfway houses?
Halfway houses, you can't. You still state property. You have not been released into society officially. It's like a pre-release into society. So as long as you got a chain around your neck, so to speak, whether you're in halfway house, whether you're in drug treatment, drug court, home detention, MAP program, whatever it is, if they still got their hooks in you, no, you can't. Now, if you're on I'm on supervised parole and probation. It changes, but
What do you mean it changes?
because technically I've been released into society, so I'm not state's property. Even though I'm not. Like the leash is a little longer, basically.
They let the leash out longer.
Yeah, basically.
Prisoner in your own home. Did you actually feel that way? You did say that.
Hell yeah.
When he was on the box, he felt like a prisoner in his own home.
It's kind of worse than the cell.
He really? You never said that before. Why? Now this is interesting.
You're in the house. You're consuming. You're not contributing. You feel like you can't do anything. And yeah, you got the benefit of being around family, but when family wants to get out the house, when they get stir crazy, they can go. You gotta be stir crazy.
And actually, no, they kind of talk about that. When he was on the box, we as a family stopped doing stuff, which contributed to a decline in my mental health. I think it's important to talk about that because, if he hasn't been in a home and all of a sudden he's there and he can't go anywhere, it's like you don't want to go anywhere because you want to be around, your husband or whoever it is that's coming home for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it hard because your quality of life starts declining because you're adapting to what he is able to do. And, we weren't going out to the beach and going on walks and doing all the other stuff that we would normally do because we wanted to stay home with you. So then it starts getting more to that point where, you stop doing the things that you like. It starts taking a toll on you. So you got to be careful. You got to fight that urge not to want to stay home all the time if he is on the box. I realize that everyone has different rules. I mean, if you're on a box, are there some people who have leeway to go out even if they're not working?
No? You got to be working. When you work, you get passes.
Oh. Let's see. What else you say? I definitely have items in the house. They still have their foot on your neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
So, what were we just talking about?
If they come to inspect your house, you want to clear all of that stuff out. Ain't nobody saying what you do, what you don't do, whatever. But for that time frame, when they check your house out, you want to clear all that stuff out. Because that's just going to make the process that much harder.
Yeah, I would say speaking specifically when he was on the box, for me, of course, it's exciting having him home at first, but like I said, your quality of life starts suffering if you don't maintain a level of balance. It's very difficult because you haven't seen him for years. Like you don't want to go anywhere. It's kind of like when your relationship was new, like, and you wanted to spend all your time with him. It kind of like resurfaces again, like you don't want to go anywhere, but you should. And it's like the bound, the seesaw starts tipping towards the side of being unhealthy at some point.
Yeah,
and it's extremely difficult not to let that happen. So I guess have some friends in place that are going to pull you out of the house, away from him, or your family, because have that established ahead of time. I didn't realize that was going to happen. So I'm telling you on the front end, have somebody who's going to let people know. So if you have a close friend, say, hey, when he comes home, please make sure we get together at least once a week. Have something in place already that is a check and balances for yourself. Because if not, then your mental health will suffer a little bit. So know on the front end going in that you need to have somebody holding you accountable for your own personal space. Because you may not feel like you need personal space, but you will. Because for health, reasons. I think that's definitely very important.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, these are things I didn't really consider. What else? It's hard though because if he's on the box and you want him to experience stuff, but it's like he's here, but you don't enjoy things the same. You want the floor? You want the floor? Yeah, he's talking these days. Yeah. Come on over, buddy. Come on over.
Bye-bye.
Come on over, baby. But yeah, it's hard because you want to go out and do things, but you don't want to leave him behind, so you feel bad. So it's a couple different things that be going on. But yeah, I mean, getting back to the what? Getting back to like the POs, there's a lot of inconsistencies there from what I've seen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What else? Nobody has any questions? Concerns? What do you expect it to be like? What are the other options? You have halfway house. Oh, treatment. Can you come straight out into treatment?
Yeah, definitely. 8507.
8507. Ooh, boogie. Ew. Are you putting the boogie in your pocket?
No, I'm putting it in a napkin.
Curfew.
Curfew is a big deal. Curfew is a big deal. Like if he's on the box, his curfew is gonna be wrapped around his work hours. That's a big deal. A lot of people get violated for missing curfew.
No excuses, I presume. Doesn't matter why you're late, right?
It's not really.
Oh, you know what? We had a power outage.
Yeah.
We had a power outage one time. When there's a power outage, your stuff don't work. Yo, document everything. When that power goes out, document what time, call your PO. Don't leave nothing up to chance. You can't be like, oh, well, there was a power outage, but you didn't reach out to them and let them know what was going on. Because was that thing beeping for a minute?
Yeah.
That thing just kept beeping and beeping and beeping because he couldn't charge it.
It happened to me when I was in the hospital. I didn't
have my
charge.
Twice. So you gotta stay on top of this stuff. Don't just
because if you're on the box, they'll violate you for going to the. They can violate you for going to the hospital.
Oh yeah, good point. Glad you brought this up. You can't just be I don't care if it's a medical emergency. Do not leave this house.
Because if you're on
Don't leave this
if you're
house.
on home detention, you're still state's property. So if you gotta go to the hospital, you gotta go back to prison. Technically. So
Mm-hmm. Is
yeah,
this
it's
information
heavy.
helpful to you guys?
It's heavy. And they basically told me at the end, like, yo, you wasn't never supposed to be there anyways. You know, so they couldn't punish me for something that they agreed to in the beginning on the front end. But it was another person that agreed to it. But in the end, the person who checked me wasn't in agreement.
So before he went to, because he was having a medical emergency. So before he went to the hospital, I had to call his parole officer, and I could not get a hold of the parole officer. So I had to call the prison, and I had to get the name. Who am I speaking to? No, wait a minute. Who called? No, your mother called. I think I tried to call.
Yeah, my mother called.
No, your mom was one who got through.
The paramedics got through. They said
the paramedics. Your mom was calling too.
Yeah, we deal with
always take names down. Who you spoke. If you can't get the person you need, like do everything you can in your power to get somebody on that side of the land to and get their do they have a badge number? I don't know. But take notes as much as you can.
Yeah, you want to get their name.
If you can't get a hold of the parole officer, which will happen, then whoever you speak to in the prison, make sure you take good notes. But you cannot let your loved one leave the house without notifying somebody first.
He will get violated.
I don't care if that man dying.
He will get violated. He can get violated.
Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but he must leave in the ambulance. That is the only saving grace. Leaving in the ambulance is the only saving grace.
Yeah,
do
if
not
she would have
drive
drove
that
me, I
man
would
to the
have.
hospital.
Yeah, I would.
You have to call the paramedics. You have to. Do not make that mistake. And because, like he said, you're supposed to go back to the prison for care. And we were just fortunate enough that the people at the prison allowed him to stay at the hospital, the public hospital, instead of going back into the prison. Which is probably why, that's the other thing, because, we were so scared that it turned into a medical emergency because we couldn't take him to the doctors. It's hard getting medical care when you're on the box. It is extremely difficult. When you can't leave the house, and that's part of your stipulation, you can't just leave for a doctor's appointment. You can't set doctors. Whatever.
No, all your everything goes through them.
Unless you want to go back to the prison. And I'm going to venture to say that they're not going to want to go back to the prison. They ain't trying to call no PO and say, hey, I got to go to the doctor and be seen. So whatever they came home with is what they're going to be living with until he's done the box, basically. Because like him, I'm going to guarantee they're probably going to think the same way. They ain't trying to go back into that prison for nothing.
No.
For nothing. So they would rather suffer and die. This is how he was. He would rather die at home than go back.
Yeah.
Well, it came to a point where you were dying, my friend. Like literally, he was dying.
Are there fees for the box? There can be. If you go it's a lot of places we could go with this. You can come out on an appeal bond and get the box on a privatized box, and you pay. And actually, your person can get out of prison that much faster. Like money changes everything. If you got the money, you can get on a private box if they have the right type of charge. But it will cost. It will cost. But if you're on like I was on a home detention state, so I didn't have to pay. But you can if you have the money.
Wait, how come you didn't have to
pay? Because I was on a state private box. I was on a state box, not a private box.
Not a private company. Oh, okay. So what determines whether or not you get a state box or a private box?
If you got the money to get a private box, you can get out a lot faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go to the judge basically and put in a petition if you have the right type of charge and say, hey, I'm such and such amount of months before my release. Can I get the private box? I got the money. And the judge will say, yeah, because at the end of the day, it's about money. So if you have the money, then yeah.
Wait, maybe I missed it. What's the benefit of having a private box versus a state box?
You get out of prison faster.
Oh, you get out of prison faster.
Yeah.
I mean, you get on the street faster. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, because the process is longer.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Huh. But you're still on home detention for the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'm learning. Taking notes. Yeah, that's right. Take all the notes you can. If this is helpful, give us some thumbs up, man, for our video. Give us some thumbs up. It helps. Let us know. What else?
I mean,
I can't think of anything else.
That's about it. Like, but you just want to. I mean,
expect the same.
Anybody, if anybody who your significant other has to report to, whether it be case manager, PO, whatever, you want to encourage them to have the best possible relationship that they can with them, even at the point of sucking a lot of shit up, because you get on their bad side, man. Hey, they can get, man. I got on one of my case managers' bad side, and I spent another year in prison that I didn't have to, just by telling her to do her job, because she's in power.
You gotta respect the power. Respect the power. Huh.
I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a problem with
that. Any other questions? Oh my God, a whole hour of them flew by. You guys are helping. Oh, good. I'm glad it's helpful information. All the stuff we knew nothing. Well, all the stuff I knew nothing about. All the stuff that you need to know, that you should know, that you know what, you should make a mini course up. What to expect. All things you should consider. Because this information just does not exist out there, I don't think. I don't know. I never knew. I never knew to even to look for it, honestly, because I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, and unless you've been through it a few times, then you don't even know what to expect.
You have no idea what to expect.
When you're coming out.
Yeah.
If you ain't been through it.
Very true. Very true.
All right.
All right. We'll give you guys another minute. Can anybody have any other questions? Have any other questions? And show us some love, man, with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm kidding. I don't want no thumbs down. All right. I'm just gonna wait for another 30 seconds to see if there's any other. What are you guys up to anyway? How's everybody doing?
It's Friday.
It's Friday. I think I might want to stay and watch a movie, or maybe play a game. No other questions? Y'all straight? Y'all know everything? Y'all getting an A++ if we give you a pop quiz? Have a great weekend. You're welcome. All right, I guess you guys are all set. So,
peace out.
We're going to end this here. Thank you for joining us. We're going to catch you on Monday. Watching TV.
Sound right.
Oh, yeah.
Football.
Ain't no football right now. All right, we appreciate A+++ from Alicia. All right, we're thankful that you guys tuned in to watch, and we're glad that this is helping. So thank you very much. All right, we'll see you guys next week, or I'll see you on IG.
Yeah.
See ya.
Peace out.